Hey, what's up, everyone? It's your girl V, and welcome to another episode of Mindful Unfoldings. It's a new week, new episode, and a new guest.
Yeah.
Today we have the gorgeous Mbali. Hey, girl.
Hi,
How are
hi, I'm
you?
well.
I'm also well, thank you. Tell us a bit about yourself. Introduce us, yourself to the Mindful Unfoldings family.
Hello, Mindful Unfoldings family. Thank you for having me. By the way, it's an honor.
Thank you
Like
for coming.
when you asked me to be a part of this,
Yeah.
I was just like, it's an honor to be here.
Yeah.
So my name is Mbali Balisa Mudibedi. And I say the both names because some other people know me by Mbali and others know me by Balisa. Yeah. And I'm a 24-year-old young city girl.
City.
No. Not in that.
I was
Joburg
say
girl.
city.
Johannesburg girl.
Yeah.
Yes, I grew up in Johannesburg all my life. Yeah, I am. I love the Lord Jesus. I think, if you get to know me, I think that's one thing I want you to know, that I really live for the Lord. I'm a young professional. I'm a professional nurse. Yeah, it's my first year. I'm doing ComServe, and life has been great, man. That's who I am.
See, we like smart women over here.
Yes, girl.
And then we
Yes,
met.
girl.
How did we meet? Through Barbara.
Yes.
So we church girls. We met via like church cell groups.
Yes.
Barbara. She's come to Mindful Unfoldings also before.
Oh, okay.
And we basically met through cell
Yes.
with Barbara.
Yes. Small
Yeah,
group.
that's how small group. Yes, so that's how
We met.
we met.
And we met for the first time in person. It was last year.
Galentine's Day.
Yes.
When we went to Polo Fields and we did the cinema thing.
Before that, we met at church. The
I remember I
first
visited
one.
your church. Did I visit? Did I?
No, Velo, for small group, the first session we had for small group, and we were at the room upstairs.
I actually
Yes.
forgot about that. Like I forgot. I'm sorry.
It's okay, girl.
Oh,
It's okay.
I forgot about that. Okay, yes. So that's how we met, and I remember asking you and Rendani.
Yes.
And she will come on soon. But I remember asking you and Rendani to be a part of Mindful Unfoldings, only because I feel like we all connect off of one thing, which is
Yes.
God, and the conversations that we have on a weekly basis. So we have small group every Tuesday,
Yeah.
6:30, and we just girls that meet up and we just talk about where we're at and what the word says and all those things. So I was like, this would be nice because that's kind of like people like hearing that stuff on my podcast because that's what people are receptive to a lot. So I was like, okay, let me just use my people. They always say if you can't use the people around you, it's meaningless.
Yeah, that's
So today we're gonna talk about relationships
yes, girl.
and human nature in today's age. But before we do that, let me give you an icebreaker, just so you can be comfortable.
Alrighty.
So I'm gonna we can do 3.
Okay.
I think 3 is a safe number.
Sure.
So my first question, I'll also answer just to be fair. If you could be best friends with any celebrity, who would it be and why?
Yo, any celebrity? I think. Do you know Nathaniel Bassey? He's a Nigerian gospel artist. And I think I'd be best friends with him because I listen to a lot of his music. So I think just being around him, and I think I just have first-hand experience of his music.
Yeah.
Yeah, like personally. Yeah, so him. And for you?
Tyler. Oh, shame.
Tyler Water.
Sweat,
Really?
Water.
Why?
Because she's hot now. And she's making people mad just by breathing. Imagine saying that's your best friend.
Yeah.
I think I'd be friends. And she seems like a nice girl.
She does. She seems like
She
a really
does.
cool
She seems
girl.
like a nice girl. And then if you could shop in any decade, which decade would you choose and why?
Sharp.
Like an era that
Sure.
you'd like to tap into. I'd say the 2000s.
I was going to say definitely not the 2000s.
Why?
I think we were crazy. To be honest, I think we were, we were insane. I don't know what we were doing in the 2000s.
Yeah.
I think Was it the 90s? Yes, definitely the
Okay,
90s.
but 90s is coming back now, actually.
Yes, I think that's why, because I'm liking how
How
it's
it's
coming
coming
back.
back,
Yeah,
yeah.
so definitely the 90s.
Okay. And then if you could travel or relocate forever and have like wealth and everything to one place in the world where would you stay?
I think the UK.
Why?
I just love it. I know.
Sorry, my reaction. I wasn't expecting that.
Honestly, I think the UK, I think I've always just had love for it. I've never been there before, but I just always thought this is the one place I want to go to.
Yeah.
And if I have the chance to relocate, that's where I'd want to
What's
relocate
going
to.
on with South Africans and migrating to the UK?
I don't know. I don't know. But
Guys,
that's definitely
I'd
one
move to
place I'd go.
Greece.
Greece. Why
That's
Greece?
like my dream travel destination. Greece is so
Okay.
pretty.
Yeah.
Santorini.
Yes, I've seen
Just
that.
living an island girl life for the rest of my life. Just wearing dresses, skirts, shorts, eating pasta.
I see the vision, girl.
Guys.
I see the vision.
I'd leave you guys and go to Greece, hey? I'd genuinely go to Greece.
I get
So,
it though.
okay, I think now you're comfortable. You're comfortable. Now we can get into it.
We can.
And I want us to speak about, like, let's set like the foundation for today's conversation
Sure.
and why we think relationships are more complex in today's age. First things first, are you in a relationship?
Romantically?
Yes.
No.
How
I'm
long have
very
you been
single,
single?
girl. How long have I been single? I always say all my life
Bali.
because do high school relationships count?
Yes.
They do.
They build you, don't they?
I guess. But okay. So the last time I was in an actual I was in grade 11, girl. So in my adult
That was
life, I
2000 and what?
haven't. 2016. So how many years is that?
That's
8 years.
really.
Actually, yeah. But I've had, like situationships and then like
Oh, yeah,
it
that's on the
doesn't.
stage. Yeah. Those
So
are the
that
ones
doesn't
that don't
count.
count.
Yeah. So an actual like
Relationship.
boyfriend was in 2016.
How do you feel though? Isn't that like, don't you sometimes feel like, oh my gosh, I wish I was in a relationship?
I think this year, yes, I was like, yo, Lord. Also, let me tell you what happened with the whole relationship thing. I think when I started walking with the Lord, right, it became very exhausting to have relationships with worldly guys. So non-believers, it became very exhausting for me because I have to explain myself that, oh, I don't do this, I don't do that.
Oh, I
So at
prefer
some point I was
this.
just like, you know what, Lord, I'm done. And I believe also that in that time frame, the Lord took away the desire for romance. So it was very easy for me then to say, I'm okay. So it wasn't a situation where I'm like, I'm trying to find a certain type of person. But yeah. And then last year, the Lord returned the desire for a romantic relationship.
Yeah.
So in those years, I was really okay to an extent where I thought I was going to be single for my whole life and I was content. I thought I was
It didn't
poor.
bother you.
Literally,
Yeah.
I was like, I'm going to be poor and that's good. But yeah, last year he brought it back. And then this year I was just like, yo, Lord, like.
So are you actively like talking to anyone?
No.
Or are you being spoken to? No DMs? But you're not active on
Girl,
Instagram.
I'm not active. I do go
See?
on, but like I
Yeah,
haven't
I've
like
noticed you're not
posted.
really,
Yeah, I think the last time I
like
posted
you haven't
was
went out and the guy was like, hey,
this year.
Bali.
No.
We have to fix that. We have, yeah, no, but I get what you mean. So when you think about friendships,
Yeah.
relationships in today's age, like what stands out as like that thing that's like what's one thing that you could say is different from like today's relationships and friendships? We can start with relationships first and then we'll go into friendships from today's age and maybe like 5-10 years ago. Like what's that different thing that you've noticed in anyone?
I think the dynamic of romantic relationships, I think, and I think social media has really played a big role on how we perceive each other as men and women, actually. That and I'm sure you've heard this, I'm the prize, I bring nothing to the table, I'm
the table.
And to be honest, I think that's one of the craziest things I've ever heard. Like, a relationship is between two people, and for it to actually work, two people have to put in an effort. So I think social media has really shaped how we see ourselves, and the high value men is actually talking about just men with money. You're a high value man just because you have money, and we don't consider your values, your morals. So I think it's very transactional and very superficial. Most relationships, or what I see on social media, I think they've become very, very superficial.
I also think another thing is no one is willing to actually try.
Yeah.
And like the thing is, relationships take two people.
Yes.
It doesn't take just the girl, it doesn't take just the guy, whether he's a high value guy, I don't even like saying that, whether he's a guy with money or a guy who's just trying, it literally just takes two people to make a relationship work. So I think one of the things that I see now is that, and why relationships don't last now, is because no one is willing to try. Like, you make one mistake, oh, I'm out. This is a red flag.
True.
And it's also just like, in as much as I always say, like, you don't have to ignore the red flags, but there's certain things that you can forgive because it's something you can work on with the person. So, for example, like, okay, what are your boundaries for like a relationship? Like, what's one thing that you feel like, if you do this, I can't. But even if you have this, and that, I'll try. Yeah.
So my non-negotiables is from the context of a Christian young woman is the guy has to be saved. For me, that is non-negotiable because, like you said, there are some things that we can work around, but that for me is not something I can work around with you. You have to find that with the Lord yourself. First and foremost, yes. And then I think things that we can work around, and I think this used to be a very petty deal breaker for me. I used to say, a guy who has no fashion sense, like, guys, like, why are you wearing yellow skinny jeans in a red tank top?
When you say that, sorry. The other day we were here.
Yeah.
We're celebrating the producer's birthday, right? So we're just chilling here. And I saw a guy that was wearing flip-flops, like flip-flops.
Yeah,
and I was like, hi guys, what's going on? Why am I seeing your toes? So why?
Yeah, like,
sorry, that just came to mind. And they were laughing at me. Literally, Fifi and Karabo were literally laughing. And I'm just like, a guy that's wearing flip-flops and now your toes are just, they're making the V.
Outside. They're making the V.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Continue.
Yeah, so I think for me, it's basically that. I think the small things, man, we can really work on, like the fashion sense. I mean, it's not a crazy thing, but, and cheating. I think someone who's just a chronic cheater, lying, I think those things are like non-negotiables for me. Come on.
But also with cheating is intentional. I don't care what anyone says.
It's
like
premeditated.
The steps to actively talk to someone, go out on a date, kiss them, take them home. That's literally like intention. It's not like you just fall and oh my gosh, this happened.
And also the effort to try to hide that from me.
Yes, like to actively tell them you can't call from 5 until the next day at 8. I think that's the same thing with me. That's my boundaries. Cheating is where I draw the line. But I think there's certain things that we can definitely like work on. Like, for example, okay, I'm a big communicator. So if I'm in a relationship and you're not actively communicating with me,
is that for you like something that you can work on?
I can tell you once.
Okay.
That's the thing about me though. When I speak once, I don't like repeating myself. So if I come to you, just say you're my partner, and I'd be like, I'm like, babe, I'm a communicator. Like, I need you to communicate with me. Like, I'm not saying tell me every way that you go, but for me, I know, like, if I'm gonna leave my house and I know there's a chance of my partner calling me, I'll just be like, hey babe, going to the mall, we'll call you when I'm back home. Or if I'm at the mall and then like he can hear a commotion, like it wouldn't bother him because he knows that, okay, she's at the mall, you understand? Or it's like those kind of things. I appreciate that, to know like what's going on, like what are you doing? I'll tell you. If I can see that you're not a big communicator, I'll just be like, oh babe, I want you to talk to me. I'm not saying talk to me 24/7, but like communicate. If I text you
Assure
now,
me,
and
reassure me.
if I
Yeah.
text you now, you can respond now. If you respond after 30 minutes, an hour, 2 hours, and you're busy, that's
Yeah.
okay. But you obviously have to say then, oh, sorry, I was at work because I was doing X, Y, Z.
Yes.
Like,
Yes.
communicate. I'm not just gonna be
Yeah.
like, oh, he's at work. I'm not gonna think for you. So I'm a communicator. So then
Okay.
if I communicate with you that I like it when you do X, Y, Z and you don't do it, for me, just you telling me that, okay, you're not really into me. Because I think also when you like someone, you actively are willing to work on certain
Yes.
things and you're
Yes.
willing to then change certain things because
Yes.
you like that person you love. So communication, I could say 50-50, but
Sure.
relationships is like, it's one thing I can't work on. Like, you cheat on me, okay, sharp.
Yeah.
I
There's no
thanks.
begazelling there.
No,
Sorry.
we're not gonna do it. And then with
Sorry.
friendships, how do you think it is?
With friendships, I think um, with friendships, I think it's a lot healthier than romantic relationships.
Isn't
I think. I mean, when we scale just how people perceive romance and their romantic partners with friendships, I think, or in my circle of people and friends, I think I see healthy friendships. Yeah, I'm surrounded by healthy friendships. But even just what we see on social media, I think obviously there's the standards that become friends with people because of what they can get from them.
yeah?
Or
There's a lot of using.
yes,
I
someone
actually,
intentionally becomes a friend with an influencer to get, exposure, things like that. But I think it's a lot more healthier, I think.
actually don't.
Really? Why do you say so?
I mean, obviously now with my friendship circles, I would say then we're healthy. Like you can actively call each other out. You know, I
Sure.
can correct you as a friend. Friendships nowadays are just very tricky.
Really?
Friendships are just very dynamics are just
Weird
it's just
dynamics.
I think it's harder now to make a friend
Yes.
than
But
it was back in the day, because back in the day there was actual support, you know, or like that you value your friendships. But now friendships is like, especially when they're in relationships, there's those friends that can't separate their partner from their friends. So immediately when
sure.
you're dating, it's just my man, my man, my man. You don't have time for your friends. You don't have time for anyone but your partner.
Yeah.
And then you start neglecting your friendships. And then when we call you out, it's going to be like, oh, you're jealous because I'm dating and you're not. It's like those things. There's also just no honesty in friendships. I feel like it's just harder.
Sure.
Like even now for me, I'm not willing to make friends, like new friends.
New friends, yeah.
And I'm not saying it's because I don't trust, but I just feel like the effort. My mom always used to say, friendships are not built in a day. You're not gonna meet someone last year and say, I trust this person with my life. It really happens.
Yes.
But it takes years to
Yeah,
build
it really
friendships.
does. It really
It
does.
literally takes years to genuinely build friendships.
Sure.
Like I have friends who have been friends with for like 12 years. And like those are the people I can say, okay, yeah, you know, I'm friends, or like 8 years, 5 years. I think 5+, that's a good cap on friendships. But it takes years to
It does.
actually build friendships.
Because also you are continuously learning the person.
Yeah. And you
Yeah.
remember, we now experience everything together. So there's puberty, there's your dating phase,
Yeah.
there's that phase that apparently everyone must go through. There's there's just
Yeah.
those
Yes.
phases. So I think I don't know. I don't know. It's just difficult. Everything, relationships and friendships nowadays are just difficult. They're just difficult.
I
And it
hear you.
shouldn't be.
It shouldn't be.
But,
Shouldn't be
but
this
it
hard.
is. It shouldn't be this hard at all.
Yeah.
So, has there been a relationship that taught you something deep about yourself? So it doesn't have to be romantic, just relationships in general. So it could be friendships, relationships, like that has taught you something about yourself. Like that's something unexpected, maybe like it forced you to grow and maybe be a different version of yourself, maybe.
Something deep.
Like an experience.
I think my friendship with Rendani. Yes. And I told her this. And you know, when you pray for friends, there's a point in my life where I didn't have friends. I was like, God, I just want to have a friend. And I think the person that she is literally the person that I needed to have in my life. Rendani is very, I always say she personifies God's kindness.
She really does.
She really
She
does.
really does.
God's like gentleness. Like when you see that, like it feels like she's the tangible kindness that we experience from the Lord. You know what I mean?
That's true.
Yeah, and she often says also that she has the gift of mercy. So she's very patient. She's very graceful. And I realized that I didn't have that in my friendships, but also in other relationships. I wasn't met with people who were kind to me, who were patient with me, who had mercy for me and grace and were graceful towards me. So when I realized that, I was like, Lord, wow, you are so intentional in that you gave me a friend that I needed, And at the time, I didn't even know that was a need that I had for a friend like that. Also, it's so interesting. When she hugs me, I don't know if she does this with everyone, she like really embraces me. So it's not, like with hugs, it's just like, oh, hi, how are you? But like she embraces me. It's usually like 5 or 10 seconds.
Yeah.
And at first I didn't pay attention to it until recently I started therapy and I realized how much I love hugs. I was like, I love to give and receive hugs. And even before I knew that was what I liked or desired, the Lord had given me that in my friend.
Yeah.
Brindani.
Yeah. I actually resonate with that so much because that's how I feel about Karabo. She's probably going to start crying.
Karabo. Yes. Yeah. No, it brings one to tears. It really does.
That's how I feel about her. My thing in friendships, what I've realized, something that forced me to actually grow was that I was always pouring into people.
Sure.
And I was never really getting that back. And I think, so Karabo and I, like when I moved here, we were friends, and then obviously life happens and you guys like, I call it puberty. We were just going through a phase.
Miss Karabo.
But it was normal. I think it's normal. And we didn't speak for, I don't know for how long, but it was quite some time. But I mean, we stay a house away from each other. But when she came back, she caught me at a time where I really was struggling in my friendships because I always was showing up, but I felt like no one was showing up for me.
Yeah.
Also, I was just going through a pruning with God. Like God was removing. When I say He was removing people I never thought He would remove.
Yeah.
I was losing interest in. I was very much into like, you know how I was. I was very much into clubbing. I was inside the world.
Yes.
The world was me actually. Like I was doing. You were inside. One. I was one with the world. But then when I remember on my birthday, I remember she came to my house. My mom was like, no. And my mom was always saying, you need to keep your friends. My parents always know.
Yeah.
And she always knew that her and her sister were genuinely like my friends. But obviously at the time you didn't know.
Yeah.
But she also came back at a time where God was basically showing me, or like, when I see Karabo, it's like I see it as God's gift to me because she's such a present friend.
Oh.
She is so present. She's probably gonna start crying.
Yes, she is.
Tears in the back.
But I'm glad that you're also able to hear it in the present.
I try to tell her like all the time, but I think it's something that she knows.
Yeah.
But she's such a present friend. Like I've never had a friend that's as present as Karabo. I kid you not. She's here for every podcast episode. I can talk about the same thing 500 times. Karabo literally listens to me. And the thing is, I know it's gonna sound toxic, but she's always gonna choose me. Like she's always on my side. Yeah. I could be wrong. She'll probably call me out for it, but I haven't experienced anything where it's like, okay, you were wrong, friend. Do this, but you understand what I mean?
Sure.
She's a present friend, and I didn't realize that's what I needed until she's here now. Like quite literally in every area of my life, Karabo's literally there.
She's there.
Like there's literally at this point, like it's a non-negotiable. Like don't bore me. Like don't bore me with the whole, oh no, just come alone. I'd be like, when I come to Karabo, like everyone knows now. Even my family knows when Karabo doesn't come to my house on a Friday. Where's Karabo? Because you guys are always together. My mom's friends know that that's genuinely my friend. And I think that's something God was trying to teach me. Sure. That you don't have to try hard. And that's the thing about our friendship. Like, we don't try at all. Like, we really don't try.
It's natural.
Like, it's natural because you're yourself. Yeah. Where in other relationships, you always have to pretend to be someone else.
To perform.
You have to perform. I remember the days that I would go, like, to the clubs and stuff like that. Like, it was lights, camera, action. Quite literally, like, you just had to perform. But in this friendship, like, I literally don't have to perform. for. And the thing about hugs, that's the same thing that Karwa does. Like you feel it, like you can feel, okay, yeah, she's hugging
And it's
me.
very genuine.
Like like you can feel, this is not just a hug. Like you can feel that it's that thing of like, oh hey, like
I see you.
I see you,
I care for you. I love you.
Literally, and there's people on my contact list who are like, just by our videos and how she looks at me and how I look at her, but more so how she looks at me. There was a friend of mine who was like, I can tell this is the first friend I see that actually wants to be your friend.
Sure.
That's actually your friend, just by how she looks at you.
Wow.
And I want everyone to experience that side of life.
You too.
Oh, it's like like life is not about men.
Yes.
It's not about romantic relationships. Like girlhood is the most
It's so beautiful
thing
when it's
ever.
healthy.
When
it's so
healthy,
beautiful. It really
when you guys
is.
support each other, when you guys quite literally I don't even, I'm in a relationship now, but like I don't even think, like I've never really had a desire to jola, but like I've always like dated. But like I don't even think if I wasn't dating, it would bother me because of my friends. Because of Karabo, because I'm always Karabo basically.
Sure.
But like because of my friends, I can just put it all in a bracket. But because of my friends, I don't think I'd even feel void.
Yes.
Because I have my friends. Like
receive
I have
love
my
from
girls.
them.
Like if you have your girls, there's literally nothing else to like
To
desire
ask for.
to ask for. So then where do you draw the line between being open and honest with someone, so in your friendships or your relationships, and protecting your own energy, so boundaries? What, like, where do you draw the line? Like as a person, do you know what your boundaries are as a person? Like this is when you reach this limit, kahana kana, like I don't want.
Yeah. Emotional boundaries.
Yeah.
I think it depends on the kind of situation. I think even with Rendani, and I've also seen this with her, there's just other things that we don't share with each other. And it's to also protect your sacredness, man, especially when it comes to like really sensitive, I think, family stuff. I think and it's not like we sat down and we spoke about it. I'll say from my side, there's just things where I'm like, I think it's too sensitive, and I think this one should remain between myself and my family. You know what I mean? Yeah. And I would probably share if I feel the need to share once. If it's a problem, I'm not going to share with you while it's a problem. Yeah. I might just tell you that I'm going through this and this, I'm not okay. But I think to also protect my family space and the intimacy that I hold with my family, I find it better for me to share only once it has happened. I'm like, oh, friend, actually, remember when I was feeling like this and this and this? This was actually happening.
What's going on,
Yeah. And I think it's healthy in that she knows where I am and she can come through for me in the ways that she can, but also just protecting the intimacy of myself and my family. Because sometimes, guys, you can overshare, hey?
Yeah, you can.
Yeah, and I think that's one of the things I'm always afraid to do. I never want to overshare anything. Yeah.
Yeah, I think for me, my rule now with boundaries with people in relationships, not even relationships, like in general, people in general, is that if it makes me anxious, I'm not supposed to be there.
Yeah. Yes.
If it makes me anxious,
Yes.
I am not supposed to be here.
Definitely.
Like I feel like with people, like it's one thing we can argue, but I won't feel anxious about it. I'll just obviously I'll be angry maybe like the moment, or like I'll be fueled with like that thing of somebody I don't want to talk to right now. But if it makes me anxious, I know that God's saying, "Oh no, girl,
Get out of there, girl.
get out of there." And now I think that's the boundary now I draw in just relationships in general. But also it's just like a thing of like it depends on the level of friendship.
Sure.
There's acquaintances and then there's friends. And I feel like
Yes.
in my circle of friends, my boundary is just like I'll express myself. So if you say something, or if I feel like you're making me feel some type of way, I would literally express myself in such a way. I'll just be like, you know what, friend, I don't like that you said this. It made me feel like this.
Yeah.
I think that's a healthy way to go about relationships,
Yes.
in your friendships, or just in relationships in general. You need to be able to express yourself and how you feel.
Yeah.
But I'm only doing that in my intimate spaces.
Sure,
Because I also
yes.
feel like it's not fair to constantly just throw friends out just because they made you feel. It's a part of life.
Yes.
You'll get upset. I'll say
Yes.
something that upsets you that I don't know it upsets you. But again, it's in those intimate spaces where I feel like, okay, I can express myself and be like, friend, I don't like what you said about this particular situation. And we'll talk about it and we'll work through it. But if it's just like an acquainted relationship and you're making me feel anxious, I feel like that's God telling me,
Like,
because
don't get close.
because remember, in order for you to genuinely be a friend, you have to acquaint each other. You have the
Yes.
acquaintances. You must speak
Yeah.
more often, see each other, build that like connection. But like that's my boundary. Like if the minute I feel anxious, because I know that God does not want that for me.
Yeah.
I don't want it for myself. So why are you making me feel that way? Do you understand? So
hear
if
that.
that's my boundary, just in
Yeah.
relationships, like if it makes me feel anxious, I'm not supposed to be here. I'm fine, thank you. It was nice, like knowing you. I'd probably even tell you, like, actually, I don't think I can do this anymore.
Really?
I don't like ghosting people.
Sure.
I think it's rude and it's very intrusive to my emotional well-being
No, it
because I
really
didn't expect
is.
it.
Yeah.
Like, why are you ghosting me?
Yeah.
Why couldn't you just tell me that you don't want to be my friend anymore? It's emotionally
It is.
draining.
Especially for people who are overthinkers. Like, I think there's a lot of self-blame. Maybe I said this, maybe I said that. So I think
Maybe I
it's
should have or I shouldn't have. I no.
Yeah.
Ghosting in relationships are just no.
It's whack.
Yeah. So I want to ask you, what do you think then makes relationships at a whole essence to our like humanity as human beings? What's one thing you feel like people should know about relationships? I'm not dating. I hate this word so much, relationships, because people think it's boy
Romantic,
girl romantic,
yes.
but just in general.
So can you repeat that again?
So like, what's one thing that you feel like people should know
Okay.
about the essence of relationships in today's age, basically, from your experience as a 24-year-old, from your perspective?
Man, I think just our natural makeup is God gave us emotions. Yeah, and I'm smiling because we spoke about that, and we in that series in our small group.
Yeah.
Yeah, in that, when God created us in His own image and in His own likeness, He saw it fit to give us emotions, and He said it was good, and so it's our innate. It's innate that we have the desire for compassion. I think what I would say is we all have a desire to be loved, to experience love and compassion. So I think the foundation of relationships is really that compassion more than it is anything. Like we've said earlier, I think we've made it so complex by adding all these other things. Like the root of relationship and communion with people really stems from just giving each other love. Whether I know you, I don't know you. And this is why people who come from other places outside of Joburg, they're like, Joburg people are weird. Because compassion is really just saying, hi, how are you? I don't know you, but greeting you every day. That is a relationship that it might not be a solid and strong relationship, but we are being relational in that manner. So I just think that's the foundation of relationships, really. Yeah, just recognizing the next person.
Also, kindness.
Kindness in that,
I think it's so important to be kind. And I think one thing I've always said that I like about like African nature, or just like Africans in general, is that we're actually kind people.
No, we really
We look like
are.
we're angry people because of our problems.
Yeah.
But we're not. I think we're very, very kind people. And I'd always say like it's really good to show kindness to people in like your relationships, whether I know you or not.
Yeah.
And people like saying, oh, I don't owe you anything. I'm not, you don't need to owe someone something. Just be kind.
Yeah.
Be compassionate, like you said. Show respect, be
Yes.
considerate.
Yes.
Those are just like, that's like literally the bare minimum
Literally,
of
like
what it is and how relationships should be. And I think I actually agree with you. That's actually a good point that you made. It's a very good point that you made. And my last question for you before the episode ends was like, what's I don't know how to phrase this. How have your relationships in your life influenced the person that you are today? Like, Bailey today,
Yeah.
how have your relationships influenced you?
And this is all
So
relationships,
it could be
right?
from your family,
Yes.
work. Yeah.
I think for me, they've really, I haven't had the healthiest relationships, hey? On the broad spectrum of relationships, I haven't had the healthiest relationships. And it really took a lot for me this year. I think that was the one area that the Lord had highlighted to me, that the way you interact with people isn't healthy. So I'm very guarded. I'm not easy to trust. Yeah. And literally, I was sitting in my room and the Lord said, what you don't get right with people, you'll struggle to get right in my relationship with you. And vice versa. What you struggle to get right with me, it will fall into your relationships with people as well. And that's when I realized that because I have very little trust for people, I had very little trust for God. So, because I had that very little trust for people, I became very hyper independent in that when I come to God, I'm afraid to give him everything. I'm afraid to be like, okay, God, this is me, and this is what I'm bringing, and I'm laying it down at your feet. I had to feel some sense of control, yeah, because of that lack of trust. So yeah, I think that's how it's shaped me. I'm very guarded, but I'm going to therapy.
How was that? I
It's
didn't know you actually went to
amazing.
therapy.
Really. It's great. I wish I had started sooner. I wish I had
That's what I
started
also say
sooner.
to people, guys, go to therapy.
Oh, you go to
You don't
therapy
have
as
to,
well?
yeah, but you don't have to be, how can I put it? You don't have to be going through something hectic in order for you to go to
Yes.
therapy. It just
Yes.
helps you process your emotions.
It really
Just go to
does.
therapy,
It
guys.
really
It's
does.
very healthy. And I feel like it's nice because you're speaking to someone that doesn't know you, so then they don't respond with empathy. They
Yeah.
tell you the truth. Because I feel like when you express yourself with people, it's because I'm your friend. I'm gonna be so
It's biased.
sympathetic and it's
Yes.
biased.
Yes.
But in therapy, it's not. But for me, I think one thing that shaped me in my relationships with people, like you said, I never had. I was very like I had toxic relationships from family to friends to relationships like dating romantically, and I think that's because I was so far away from God. I was so far away from
Yes.
God, child. Like everything around me was just a mess, and I didn't realize that until now because I'm in a healthier space. I have a very close relationship with God. Only now that my relationships, just visually from family to friends to romantic to work
Yeah.
to the people that I interact with here in the studio, is very healthy because of how healthy my relationship with God is.
Yes. Yes.
And it's shaped me into the person that I am now. Because I always say I don't regret anything because I don't think I would be the person I am today had I not went through the things that I went through.
Yes.
As painful as they were, as much as they made me cry to an extent where I probably would have even been suicidal because of my problems. Like I don't regret the things that I've went through because I wouldn't be the person I am today.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be able to have this podcast and speak about things maybe that I've went through or have perspective had it not been for those toxic relationships also because it helped me shape my healthy ones and the people and the places I'm in now. So I think that's one thing I feel like everyone should realize. People, everything goes back to your relationship with God.
It really does.
And we'll
It
speak about
really
that
does.
in next week's episode.
Yes, girl.
But everything, literally every single thing goes back to God.
It really
So
does.
your relationships, your friendships, your relationship with your parents, the relationship you have with yourself
Yeah.
and people around you all goes back to God.
Yeah.
But we're gonna chat on that one. I'm excited
Yes,
about that
girl.
episode because that's one main part I think you and I would definitely have an amazing conversation with.
Yeah.
We're in.
Yeah.
So yes, that's today. That's I was laying a foundation basically for the next coming episode, if you know what I mean.
We love to see you.
Our producer in the background here, she's busy blushing or smiling. I don't know what she's doing. Now she's
Yeah.
But thank you so much for coming today in Bali. I
Thank
really enjoyed today's.
you.
This felt like a girl chat.
Right, very
Really,
relaxed.
very relaxed. Nothing tense. No secrets. Nothing. But please give everyone your social media handle if you want to be followed. I saw something about a podcast that you have.
Yeah,
Please
I do.
explain yourself because I don't.
Please explain. I do have a podcast.
Yeah.
I only have one season out. It's called Things I'm Yet to Learn, and it's very word based. So yeah, that was the instruction that I received from God. It's sort of like I'm teaching the word. Yeah, so it's very little conversation than it is very more of the word and what the Lord is trying to teach us in the moment.
Okay. So give people your podcast, your Instagram. We'll link everything as well on the screen or in the description for people to follow you.
So on Instagram, I'm bali.mudibedi, I think.
It is.
Because you know when you change a lot.
It is.
Yeah, it's bali.mudibedi. On TikTok, guys, on TikTok, search sun dot. We'll link it, ne?
What's the TikTok name?
It's this was my previous IG name.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's Sun Sokret. It's basically sunflower. I haven't forgot what language that is.
That is so 2012 of you.
Exactly.
Bali.
That's why I had to change
That's World Cup days.
Girl.
For you. That's what we used to name our Snapchats.
Yes.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So that's me on TikTok. And then, so I'm only on Instagram. My podcast is Things I'm Yet to Learn, or TIYTL on Instagram.
I'll just link everything.
And you can find it on Spotify.
Okay, and don't forget to subscribe to Mindful Unfoldings on Instagram, TikTok, YouTube. Leave a comment below. Tell us about your friendships and the people that you value in your life, actually. And also don't forget to follow Bisang Studios on Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube. And don't forget to follow myself, Fialan Kambule, on Instagram, TikTok, and not YouTube. Yes, just Instagram and TikTok. And I will see you guys next week. Thank you so much and bye.
Bye.
Fifi's only going to cuss it now.